Yes, you will never be satisfied by reaching your goals. Now, as clickbaity as that may sound, it is something that I'm increasingly learning to be true. And I think it applies to your health, your wealth, and your fitness, and, well, in fact, pretty much everything. Have you ever heard things like, when I get that dream job, I'll have made it? Or when I get that expensive German car, I will definitely have made it. When I get that six-pack, I'll be happy. I have consumed a lot, and I mean a lot of content over the last couple of years about not only personal finance, but productivity, self-improvement, and personal growth. A subject that I've found to overlap in pretty much all of the positive thinking or positive action content out there is both the pursuit of happiness and chasing goals. And the majority say pretty much the same thing. Set your goals, change your habits to reach those goals, and when you do reach said goals, you should be happier. Okay, before we get into the video, I would very much appreciate it if you just took 2 seconds to hit that subscribe button for the chat. We live in a society that is heavily driven by goals, whether it's climbing the corporate ladder, chasing the physique you've always wanted, improving your diet, or just trying to fill in that gratitude journal or meditating every morning. And in my own journey of goal setting and achieving, I came across something known as the arrival fallacy. And this is the feeling of what I can only describe as emptiness after you achieve your goals. It's the idea that when you arrive at the destination you desired, you don't have that feeling of satisfaction that you thought you were going to have. And this starts at a young age. And I'm pretty sure you can think back to a time where you really wanted that toy or to go to a theme park. And all the way there, you knew what you wanted, and the anticipation of getting it was exciting. You convinced yourself you're going to be so happy when you get there, only to realize it wasn't as amazing as you built it up to be. And after it was done, you forget about it pretty quickly. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not to say that some material things or experiences can't bring you joy, but you need to be aware of the fact that the feelings of joy or even euphoria fade very quickly. Now, this phenomena is not unique to being a child. It extends out to being an adult too. It's like when you get that job that you really wanted, only soon to find out that it wasn't what you thought it was going to be. Now, this is certainly something that I can relate to after getting my dream job as a police officer after 10 years of trying, only to leave once the novelty wore off and I took a look behind the curtains and found out the truth. The rose-tinted glasses were taken off and I was finally able to be objective about my thoughts and feelings. And I thought it was just me that felt this way, but as soon as I started to understand a bit more about expectation and how it's okay to recognize that things aren't always what they seem to be. For me personally, it gave me the power to say no and walk away and try and find another passion. Now, if you've ever listened to Jordan Peterson, who is a Canadian clinical psychologist and author, on a side note, if you haven't, I highly recommend listening to him. But he talks about happiness being the side effect of doing things that are meaningful. So rather than chasing happiness, you should do the things that are meaningful to you and then work outwards to try and do things that are best for everybody. And by setting up the preconditions for happiness and joy, hopefully in the external world, the feeling of joy might just come along, but there's no guarantee. I'm sure you can think of an example when you felt really, really happy. Try and think about how that actually happened. Did you force it to happen, or was it just something that was happening around you, the situation you're in, the people you were with? That's usually the trigger to make you feel happy. You need to chase that, not the happiness. So then, the best thing to do is to try and manipulate your surroundings to increase the likelihood of happiness arising. And setting goals and working towards them are a great way to do this. The pursuit of goals is what gives you motivation to keep you going and keep the fire burning. For me personally, I have never been more motivated when I was trying to get out of debt. When I knew I had a huge mountain to climb, I just took incremental progress, one step at a time. And even though progress sometimes might be slow, I knew that I was going in the right direction, which kept the coals underneath me burning. I felt a sense of happiness and joy knowing that I was doing something meaningful and heading in the right direction. Every single time I paid off another £100, I knew I was achieving something meaningful. I was more aware of my actions and how I was treating my family and friends as a result of doing this. It made me feel like I was in the present. And the truth is, once I became debt-free, although the weight and the burden of owing someone else money had been lifted, it soon became a gap that I just needed to fill with another goal. When I was working my arse off to pay off debt, I would picture in my mind what it was going to feel like afterwards. I thought it was going to be a feeling of ecstasy at all times. I even pictured in in my mind that my friends and family were going to congratulate me as to what an impressive job I was doing and that I did all by myself and they're all going to clap for me. But the day I became debt free, do you know the only person who actually gave a shit was me? And looking back, I was playing a mental trick on myself, a way to keep motivated, a type of self-delusion. Now, I don't think that was unhealthy, and anyone who's ever tried or accomplished anything very difficult has to have some sort of self-delusion or overconfidence. Otherwise, we wouldn't have people like Usain Bolt breaking the 100-meter world record. Whether it's a financial goal, a fitness goal, or any other goal that you set, it's important to remember that the goalposts do keep moving. By reaching your goal, you will very quickly need to set further goals to maintain that motivation and keep going. And a good example of this is something known as lifestyle inflation. This is where you adapt to your income, also known as living to your means. And for the average person, whether you're on minimum wage or 100k a year salary, generally people find themselves getting to zero at the end of the month. Sure, the person on the higher salary is going to have nicer things, but the concept is the same, and the emptiness and desire for more is going to remain the same too. Everybody thinks that if they just earn a little bit more money and buy slightly nicer things, it's going to make them more happy. Only to realize when they get there, it wasn't the nice thing they actually wanted, it was the slightly more expensive thing that they can now afford. Yeah, that'll make me happy. You can see how this is a vicious circle and it can lead to sadness and sometimes depression. Now, I'm not a doctor, so I can only speak from my experiences and things that I've learned and read about. But I don't think humans are designed to be happy. We are designed to survive and create things. And scientists believe that this is partly due to the fact that being content lets your guard down, potentially leaves you susceptible to attack or harm. Now, living the privileged lives that most of us do, we've kind of outgrown that as a society, but definitely not biologically. And this rang true to me during the first lockdown. Life, by all measures, was pretty shit for most. Not only were people locked up in their homes where it was actually illegal to leave, but I had to go to work and enforce those laws. It definitely wasn't easy, but the people who had friends and family around them certainly found it easier. We would all have Zoom chats to our mates and have virtual parties with our friends and family. A time that should have been so very hard, but in hindsight, was a time where I actually felt quite happy. I wasn't chasing anything, spending time with my family and trying my utmost to just help people when I was at work. The potentially unrealistic goals I'd set myself for the beginning of 2020 of being able to bench press 150 kilograms or read 50 books or to invest an extra 10k all seem quite silly when you boil down to the fact that all we need in life really is meaning and connection. It's a consistent battle for me because the goals I set for myself have got me to where I am today and driven me to the point where I'm sitting here in front of a camera talking to you on YouTube, doing genuinely what I can to help other people that were and are in a similar situation to what I was in. And had I not set these tangible goals for myself, there's no way I'd be doing this. Now, all of that rambling to say, which is it then? Should I set goals or should I not set goals? And the simple answer that I would tell you is that you should be setting goals. But you must be aware that achieving those goals will not bring you contentment. Certainly not for very long anyway. I really do now look at goal setting as a type of trick on myself. It's just a way to keep me heading in the right direction and make me have the sense of not fully being where I could be. A happy balance of both grateful and unsatisfied at the same time works best for me. Grateful of what I have, from health to enough money to put food on the table and a roof over my head, and unsatisfied in the sense that I want more to give the freedom and flexibility to myself and my family in the future. Bit of a different video this week, but I hope it's given you something to think about as far as goal setting goes. Being conscious of the arrival fallacy can really prevent you from going downhill after you achieve something you've worked pretty hard for. Knowing that you can trick yourself out of this by setting more goals, but also understanding, and as cheesy as it sounds, it's really about the journey and not the destination. Thanks for watching, you beautiful people, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you got anything out of it. See you next time.